Okay, so twice now I have opened up my deck of cards to see what the topic should be, and twice in a row I got the card calling, which the first time I got it I decided to talk about something else, and that was when I was channeling myself rather than my energy group. But since today I got calling again. This is significant. And actually, it's card number 11, which is interesting because I've been seeing a lot of ones these days. 1111 especially. I seem to see it at least once a day on the clock. And then also 111 occasionally. And calling. C-A-L-L-I-N-G. LL11. I can also be a 1. There just seem to be a lot of synchronicities taking place. So I don't really know what it is. So what I'm going to do is channel my energy group and see if they have any insight into this. I'm ready. Please tell me about calling, my calling. Hello, Alan. Good to see you again. We think this was a good decision to call on us to discuss calling. So, notice what I just said. Call on us. Calling. When you saw the word calling on that card, you immediately interpreted it as, what is your calling in life? What is your purpose in life? We can answer that. But we also want to mention that from our perspective, calling here has more to do with calling on your higher inner larger other selves. So, but first, back to the calling in life. All beings have a calling, you could say. All beings resonate a certain energy, and that energy is their calling. That energy manifests itself in particular forms that align with the energy. And so that is one's calling in life. In fact, one cannot do anything other than what their calling is, because the calling is a reflection of their energy. And everyone is at a certain level of energy at any single point in time, and they generate that energy and they generate a vibration, a set of activities that come directly out of that vibrational energy. And you cannot not do that. You can change your vibrational energy, and that is the way, if you want to change what you're doing, what your profession, what your major focus in life is, the only way to do that is to change your vibration, to change your energy. And many people do that through different means. Meditation is one. There's a lot of different practices and different ways of working with guides, physical guides as well as spiritual guides, to try to realign one's energy. And basically what that is doing is changing the energy, changing the vibration in order to bring about a different outcome in the physical reality that you are experiencing. So in one sense, everyone is doing their calling. In another sense, some people, many people perhaps, desire a different calling because they feel that the calling on the other side of the hill is more attractive. This is the basis for a lot of the marketing for products and things in your physical reality. It's creating this idea that by using this particular product or purchasing this particular experience, you can experience a different vibration and bring yourself into a different vibration, perhaps a more happier vibration. However, the more lives that one lives, the more one, in physical reality that is, the more one realizes that there are limitations to this idea of trying to change your vibration, because by doing so you will become happier. So calling, from our perspective in terms of what you guys do in this physical time-space reality, everybody is doing their calling at every moment in time. You can change your calling by doing something different. Basically, you're following your energy vibration. Now, that does not necessarily align with how people in your reality view the word calling. They view the word calling as doing something special that they were meant to do that they're not doing now, or that they've stumbled upon something and they are doing it now, and they're much happier by doing that. This is true. You can be happier doing some vibrations over other vibrations. However, the better way to think about it is to get a sense for, an inner sense, an intuitive sense for the vibrations that you are most attracted to. Because you're always changing, you're always moving, you're always growing, you're always expanding. That's true for everyone in your reality, whether or not they realize that. If they are choosing at any one moment in time the vibration that is the most positive that they can align themselves to, that they feel the most positive about, that is how they move into what people in your reality refer to as a calling. That means into a vibration that feels more supportive, that feels more aligned with their higher self. And that's actually what it is. Because by choosing the vibrations that give you a sense of the most positive energy available, that is automatically going to align you with your higher self. So, in that sense, in this second definition of calling is aligning one's personality, one's third dimensional personality, with their higher dimensional self, bringing those things into greater alignment. Some people talk about that as bringing themselves closer to God or bringing themselves closer to Source in what they're doing. Basically, it's all the same thing. So that is another use of calling, another way you can interpret and consider what a calling is. One way to do that, to bring yourself into an alignment that is closer to your higher self, is by calling upon your higher self. This is how we interpret that particular card that you pulled up twice now. You can at any time ask your higher self for guidance. Now, some people are not very sensitive to the messages that their higher self is trying to give them. We've talked recently in another channeling with you about how everything that you encounter can be a message. And so if one is sensitive enough, then they can interpret those messages and see how those messages will guide them. You have recently become more sensitive to numbers, the numbers 1111 in particular, but other numbers as well. You have been trying to understand what those numbers mean. One of the ways you've been doing this is by when the number happens, you kind of look around and see if there's something else in the environment that can give you a clue as to what the significance of this number means. And you haven't seen that. We would like to suggest another way, and that is to just look for numbers. When you are presented with a choice to choose one thing or another, look at the numbers. Which of the numbers associated with those two choices resonates the frequency, the vibrational energy of your higher self? That's another way of using these types of synchronicities, to use the guidance that is yourself and your environment to move into closer alignment with your higher self. Now, again, from our perspective, you can never make a wrong decision. Every decision is a right decision because every decision will have some kind of lesson, some kind of way of expanding your awareness. However, some decisions take you down a path that is a little bit longer than another decision might in terms of getting to some ultimate higher level of reality that you are seeking. You're going to get there. There's no doubt. Everyone will get to the higher level realities that they're seeking. It's just the way the universe works. However, some people take longer paths than others. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because one of the reasons you are here in the third dimensional reality is to experience time, because time doesn't really exist in other dimensions. And how do you experience time? You experience time by doing this, then this, then this, then this, then this. So if you have a interesting path to get from point A to point B, that is exactly what you're here for, is those interesting paths. So it's not the fastest way to get from point A to point B. It's the most interesting, the one that brings out the greatest joy and fascination with the world, this three-dimensional world. So when you make these decisions, using the numerology that you've recently started to develop, when you use that numerology to make these decisions, don't think that the result is going to be the fastest way to get from one point to another point. Think, though, that it's going to be the most fascinating way to get from one point to another point. And keep your eyes open, keep your heart open, keep your mind open to what you're going to experience and what you're going to learn. So that is our message related to calling. 3 ways of understanding calling. 1 is that everyone is doing their calling at every single point. 2 is calling being a way to realign energy so that it's closer to your higher self, to God, to Source. And then 3, calling on your higher self, God, Source, or whatever guide you want to use to help you find that path. And it doesn't have to be a personified guide. The numerology is a guide, for example. So, we love you. We hope that was helpful. And we look forward to experiencing what's coming up next in your third dimensional reality. Namaste.